On this particular sheet of paper, go ahead and follow along as I go through each of these questions. These are inequality word problems. Some of them are a little bit easier and some of them are a little bit more complex. But as we go through these, we're going to follow these steps. Step one, read it carefully. Underline any keywords that kind of pop out as being important information. And then step two, we're going to write a let statement. And all that really does is it defines our variable. Let X represent something. Let X equal, and then we're going to say some words like, what is X actually telling us? What are we trying to figure out? What are we trying to find? The last sentence is usually the clue or the key into what we're trying to actually figure out. And that's usually what we define as our variable. The third one there says determine whether to use a greater than, a less than, and even one or two problems in this particular set uses an equal to, which means that would just be an equation. And so we kind of have to make that decision. Is it greater than? Is it less than? And then what we're going to do is write an inequality. Even maybe if you can solve the problem without writing an inequality, we're going to practice the skill of just writing down an inequality that matches the description of what's happening. All right. And then we're going to solve the inequality, figure out the answer to whatever question they're asking. Okay. So let's go ahead on this one and scroll down to a little bit further. And let's go ahead and start with our first one right here. It says, we're going to read it carefully and get my drawing tool. Okay, so we're going to go with, it says the word quotient. This is kind of weird a little bit, but quotient means divide. All right, so just keep that in mind. We're dividing a number. Anytime you see a number written right like this, that's key. That's going to be our variable. All right, I'm going to let it be X. All right. And so it says take X, a number, and divide it by 15. That's quotient. And it is no greater than, here's some more words that are important, no greater than 450. So I underlined some stuff and we're going to use a let statement. I'm going to say let X equal. And so we're going to start our problems all like this. We're going to say let X equal something. And it says here, a number is what we're going to say here, which doesn't always make sense in terms of like a context of a real world situation, because this one doesn't necessarily have a real world situation. It just says a number. What's the missing value? What are all the possible values that could work for this particular number? All right. And so let's go ahead and write down X, and it says quotient. So we're going to take a number divided by 15, right, like this. And it says no greater than, which is actually less than. So it's less than, but also equal to, because it says don't go over 450. If you have an upper limit of 450, then you can set it equal to it, but you can't go over it. That means no greater than. All right. And we're going to say 450 on this side. Okay. Now we're going to solve it. So solving means work backwards. Instead of dividing by 15, you're going to multiply by 15 on both sides, right, like this, multiply by 15 on both sides. That allows me to take these and cross them out. You can kind of cross those out and rewrite it. And we're going to have X. We did not multiply by a negative number, so keep the inequality facing the same way. Your particular number can be anything that is less than or equal to, and 450 multiplied by 15 is a big number, 6,750. So that X value can actually be anything that is 6,750 or smaller. All right. And that kind of makes sense because you're dividing it by 15 and also going to be less than or equal to 450. All right. So our final answer is this right here. Okay, let's go ahead and pause here